Hey everybody, I'm here with Drew from Aloha Joe's, all the way down on the Rad Island in Georgia. How are you, Drew?
I'm doing the best I can, friend. How are you?
Awesome, awesome. I'm extremely envious of the room you're in right now.
Yeah.
Um, I wish I could be there playing that game.
You know
Tell
what's
tell our viewers who don't know who you are, what's so special about the area you come from and your band Aloha Joe's?
what I think is special is we base ourselves out of Savannah, but we surf on Tybee. Our bass player lives on Tybee. I live on the next island in. We surf, and a lot of times, as comical as it sounds, like a lot of times nowadays surf bands don't actually surf. And that's the thing, like, we hang our hat on a little bit. We're surfers. We try to write music that's, the songs are quick. They're quick and they're simple and they're fun, and that's a huge deal to us. Like, we little kids love our band because the hook happens immediately. There's not these like big, long, drawn out passages, or these like beautiful arpeggios. Like, we get in quick, we hit it hard, guitar solo, and out. And like, it's not punk rock in a sense, and I love punk rock, but I didn't grow up on it like a lot of people do that play surf now. I grew up on surf. So, but it's in that way, it's quick and it's fast, just like waves on Tybee are. You're quick and you're done and you're power and you're getting another one. So it's kind of, I think what makes us a little different.
That is pretty amazing. Okay, so I want to ask you a question about your surfboard in the back. And when you say longboarding, there's only really longboarding in Georgia. What does that mean?
Well, a lot of it has to do with the wave type. Some of the younger kids will shortboard, little kids will shortboard because it's a bigger wave for them, obviously. For me, at my age and demographic, we like a lazier wave. So sometimes on a good day, which there aren't many, we'll get a wave kind of like Malibu's point, where it'll hit and then roll down through. And that's a longboard wave, and a lot of us, older surfers, not to out myself, but, like, we like a lazier glide as opposed to, nobody's going aggro. Some of the kids will down on the south end get a little more skatey with it, with the short boards.
Okay.
But that's usually just because there's girls up on the pier checking them out.
Of course.
So nobody's looking at me with my shirt off. So we longboard on the north end and call it. But these back here, that's a 70s GNS board, and I need to get that fixed up. It's just a living room board right now, and then my daughter's board's underneath that. So
is that one of a kind?
No, probably not. But it's from like '78, so there's probably not a ton of them around.
Wow.
But yeah, it's cool. But yeah, surfboards all over the living room. Yeah, in the WWF Superstars machine.
Nice. What do you think about Kelly Slater these days?
I think he is amazing in the fact that he's showing everybody what happens when you take care of your body and you stay in motion, which is a huge deal.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean,
Tony Hawk.
Yeah, same thing. Well, I mean, he's a little more beat up. I mean,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, same thing. Like, you got to stay moving. That's so much of it. It's such a big deal. That's something that's as big a deal as eating well. The ability to fall down and not having it ruin your life when you're in your 50s is a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hit 50 and I'm just like,
Yeah.
everything started to go boom. You need to start taking care of things.
Are we talking about like geriatrics now? Is that where this is headed?
No. All right,
start comparing AARP cards.
Oh, I don't know. I'm a member. I'm a proud bowling member. But I haven't used anything yet.
Yeah, fair enough.
All right, so before we go outside of the frame, I want to talk about the guitar you got, the reverb tank, and that killer game, in that order.
Oh, right on. All right, so the guitar, Gretsch Anniversary with the Archie sticker. Hold on, there we go. And the Groovy Ghoulies sticker, because I'm a big Groovy Ghoulies fan. And, just some stuff I like on the back. Fast Times, Ridgemont High, Alva, The Van, which I highly endorse that movie. Um,
What's that?
It's The Van.
Yeah.
Like I'm a big 70s van guy. I have a 77 Dodge van that I surf out of. It's like a shaggin' wagon. And,
Nice.
And the movie's just about a kid who graduates school, takes all of his graduation money and buys a van and just drives around the beach trying to get laid. That's the whole movie. It's incredible. Like, it's the coolest. It's got really young Danny DeVito in it, which is fun.
Really?
Yeah. Like
What's that about?
77, maybe 77, 78.
So around Taxi?
Probably right around there. Yeah. I mean, he looks the same. So, but it's fantastic. And, but yeah, so that the guitar, the Reverb tank I've had for a long time because you gotta have it, you know. But nowadays the pedals are really, really good. And I do have one in case that blows up in the middle of the show.
What do you have?
I have the Fender FR-V1, I think it's called, the Boss one that they made a bunch of years ago.
Oh, the 63?
Yeah, I have that pedal, but I have it on the board, but I never use it. I just have it in case the tank goes down.
Right.
Which
those are pretty valuable, those tanks. They're not easy cheap to fix.
Yeah, they're not. It's a tube preamp with some springs, and it does. I'm not huge with, my ear isn't as good as, and I'm convinced that people's ears aren't as good as they think their ear is. I like it. It makes my amp sound better. And I usually am not I don't have that sensitive of an ear at this point, just from standing in front of loud amps basically my whole life. Like there's frequencies that I don't catch anymore. And, but I do notice the difference when I play with the pedal sounds really great, but the tank sounds better. So The crowd's not going to know, but I know. And that's really what matters, because you're going to get a more spirited performance if you like what you're hearing, or maybe not. Maybe it's all bullshit. Everything sounds the same and nobody cares. But I like having it. I like to shake it, kick it. It's whatever. You get that crash and it's a pretty nice thing. But they got really expensive because Fender doesn't make them anymore.
Yeah, did they discontinue in like 2011-ish, like the newer versions?
Maybe they did. I mean, because they made them in Mexico for a while. I just happened to have one of the American ones by coincidence. But
oh wow!
I think I paid like $300 for it.
You're kidding?
Yeah, like it was a long time ago. Now they're like $1,000, like $1,200.
Yeah, they didn't know what they had.
Yeah, I don't know. But I've always never had any problems with it. Never had to have it fixed. A lot of times the guys have to put the Accutronics pan in there because the other one breaks and whatever. I've kicked it and it's been covered in stickers and taken off and shoved downstairs, and it's been fine for me. So, crossing my fingers, that's how it stays. But yeah, and then that goes into the deluxe reverb, which is kind of an industry standard.
A lot of people don't like to lug around their Showman, which of course is an amazing sounding amp. Mm-hmm. But I mean, I've seen people with one hand, with one arm, carrying a deluxe reverb in and out, and it's really, really, an efficient machining.
I like it because you can turn it up too, which is a big deal. We did a festival show with like Everclear and the Spin Doctors, and I have a
get out.
Yeah, and Art from Everclear like loved us. It was funny. But I have a '63 Fender Bassman clone that a friend of mine in Knoxville built me. He was like just learning how to build amps, and he's like, "Let me build something for you." I was like, "All right, I'll just just pay for the parts and I'll do everything else." And I was like, "Give me the normal channel of a '63 Bassman, like Brian Setzer played."
Yeah. I
made
a Fender Bassman from the 60s.
Yeah, it has that presence knob which kind of opens.
Yeah.
And I have it, and like it's great for like on mic stages, when I just need volume, and it because it's like a Marshall, and it'll really roar when you open it up, and like I played that night, and like we played on the roof of a pavilion out on Tybee one time, and like turned that thing the whole way up, and I mean you can hear that across the ocean, But for like
Remember
little,
those giant speakers?
yeah. But it's got two. I don't have the 15s like a lot of guys do, but I also don't want that enormous clean sound, which I love it to death, you know. But that's not, you know, I like a little, just a hair of grit when I really go hard after it, and then I want it to be clean when I let up, you know, because I play with my fingers a lot, not on camera. And I like that sound with the fingers, and then I can, like I said, I go hard with the pick, it'll break up. That's my lead boost thing. So. Yeah, it's worked out pretty okay.
Awesome. Now, is that guitar, that Gretsch, is that what you used on your recordings for Aloha Joe's?
The recordings, let me see, this record, look at me here. This record, I used a Jaguar on that, and a Jag Stang. I had one of the Kurt Cobain guitars for a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That I had drilled a Bigsby on the top of because I have to have a Bigsby. And I think that's what I used on that. I think I liked it and just used it the whole way through. And then on this record, I ended up I used this because it's actually like on the cartoon. I used this on a couple songs. I used another stock Fender Jaguar on a couple songs. And I think there's like a Mad Amp Doom riff at the end of the record that I use in SG. But yeah, this one I grew up like I love big guitar, like, you know, like old 70s Ted Nugent and Mountain and
God, yeah,
you know, before he turned into an asshole, like really big.
There was that tone,
right? That Derringer live record's incredible. And it's loud and it's riffy, but it's like fun because like nobody was mad about anything, and I wasn't an angry kid, so like, you know, like I love, you know, those angry hardcore bands from the 80s, you know, like MDC and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's like I didn't have a gripe against anybody, but I love the energy, power of it all, and then that's for me like the feedback. Like I love to walk around a venue and find where my feedback points are, so I can go pull one out like Ted Nugent used to, you know, and warble some feedback and have it be a note, not just squeals that's just like, you know, beheading the crowd.
Yeah.
I don't know, it's just these are alive, and that's why I like them. And you know.
That's what that reminds me of, that album cover, Intensities, Intense Cities.
Yes, yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, that's an incredible record.
That used to be like the party record that we would listen to.
Yeah.
And that song, The Flying Lip Lock.
Yeah, if I listen to the live Nugent, it's almost always that Hammersmith one.
Yeah.
It starts off with that feedback roll, and he's just screaming his head off.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Like at one time, like he wasn't one of these, you know, having to talk about, you know, political stuff and like
and the Amboy Duke stuff was really good too. Like when he was writing songs about hunting and
I'm down with all that. Yeah,
it was just riffy, and it's like, you know, like if you look back, like all that stuff. Like I'm a huge Fu Manchu fan, so like all that, like all that stuff. Like he was on like a lot of his early stuff was like stoner rock, you know, which is comical because he's always been, you know, straight edge Ted Nugent can possibly be, you know. He's always been adamant that he didn't do anything, but like a lot of those riffs were just pentatonic stuff that were fuzzed out and loud, and that's the whole thing that happened in the late 90s then, you know, was like you could trace that back to like there and Mountain. And then, but we still talk so much about Sabbath, which I love Black Sabbath, but so that, you know, they don't get enough credit as I think they should, because not all those bands, you know, were about Black Sabbath, you know. But anyway, that's not talking about surfing, but that's talking about fuzz.
No, that's awesome, man. Like this, it's good that we come from the same place. So I get what you're saying, because there's nothing like sitting down and hearing that for the first time.
Well,
you know, like a Nugent record.
And where you're located too, you're in like, you know, Eastern Pennsylvania, right?
Philadelphia, yep.
Yeah, so you have like the Red Bank thing with like Monster Magnet and Atomic Pitch Wax and like Halfway to Gone and like all those. We were in Philadelphia when I was a kid all the time to see shows. like at the Kyber
Yeah.
Pass, and
Tiger Pass Pub.
and the Trocadero was there, and
Trocadero was my spot.
we saw like Orange Goblin the first time they came over.
Yeah.
With like Alabama Thunder Pussy and all those bands, and we would zip out. 'Cause I went to Penn State, so I would zip over there.
Oh, okay.
To see bands, and then it was so cool to have like an A market within driving distance, like 4 of them, because you had DC and you had Pittsburgh and you had Baltimore,
Yeah.
which is probably like a B, but then you had Philly, which is clearly an A market. Like all of those,
Yeah.
And the way bands would tour, you could catch them all, like see 4 shows a tour. It was incredible.
Yeah.
And now I'm in like a Q market in Savannah, Georgia, and I have to drive to Atlanta, which is like the longest 3-hour drive you could possibly imagine.
Yeah. COVID fucked everything.
Yeah, sure did.
So, all right, before we get on to Aloha Joe's, tell me about that WWF game, because I spent a lot of time behind one of those.
There was a venue. I lived in Knoxville for a time, and there was a venue there it was called the Valerium, and then it was called something else. But there was a guy there that used to swap machines out, like they would do. And I knew the guy, and he asked me one day, he's like, "Hey, do you want to buy the Superstars machine?" And I was like, "Yeah, how much do you want?" And he's like, "Well, how about $200?" And yeah, right. And this is maybe like 10 years ago, maybe. And I said, okay. And when I got to pick it up, because it still has the old tube monitor in the back.
Yeah.
So, a lot of guys will upgrade them to like that LCD screens or whatever. And it didn't work. And I was like, well, it doesn't work. And
Tell me about Aloha Joe's. The reason we're here today is because I came across your band and I checked out your albums, and the first thing that stuck out to me was your single, and that was quite honestly, if I didn't see your album cover, I would have thought it was some modern East Bay Ray.
oh, right on.
So start with that, and then tell me about your band.
Which song were you talking about?
It was a very, I think it's the newest single you had, the one with the like the zombie doll or whatever.
Oh, right on. Yeah, this one. That one. I don't remember what single it is. I think was it Couple Skate? Was it the slower one?
It sounded like a Dead Kennedy song.
Oh, well, that probably wasn't that one. I don't remember what it was. It might have been.
Well, I got my phone right here. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you.
Here's how much thought I put into releasing a single, huh?
See, I look like an asshole, man.
No, I don't remember what it was. I'm even worse.
Oh, here it is. School Bites, Anarchy Bunny.
Oh, man. Oh, that was so cool. So what ended up happening with that was the woman that did this art, she drew, I'm a huge Archie Comics fan.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one. And she did our album cover for us. And she, like I said, I'm a huge Archie Comics fan. And I got a hold of her. I was like, hey, I'm in this nothing band down here at the beach in Georgia. I was like, would you want to work with us, and help do an album cover for us? And I think she might correct me now, but like, I think she was like, cause she's like a pro,
Yeah.
I was like, I can't guarantee her riches and glory, So it's like, it just kind of, and we worked out a price point that worked for both of us. And, we got to the end of that, and she said, hey, you're kind of out of money. Would you want to barter? And I said, well, sure. What do you have in mind? And she goes, well, I'm doing a release for the 20th anniversary of School Bites. Would you write a theme song for it?
Shit.
And she sent me, and she had sent me earlier a couple of, of the issues of the comic. So I have all the books, and there was a character in there, one of like the security blanket style characters called Anarchy Bunny. And I sat down and whipped up this 75 seconds of Anarchy Bunny. And we went to my friend Dave at small box, studios in Savannah. And I was like, hey, here's what we're doing. This is the deal. He's like, gotcha, let's take care of it. And I think we were in and out of there in like an hour and a half with a mastered product. We went in, played it like 5 times, threw some vocals down right at the end, and sent it back to her. She was like, perfect, good to go. So, but yeah, it's a lot. We play it live too because it's a lot of fun. So I thought about maybe writing some more parts to it, but I'm not gonna ever do it. I just think about it.
Funny. It's funny where that inspiration comes from, and then it kind of snowballs everything.
And it's funny for me too because I'm not like a horror guy. Like that's not where I know there's a ton of surf bands that play everything in minor keys, and I love all those bands too. But that's not me. Like I'm a fun in the sun. Let's go surfing and race BMX and drive vans and party and
BMX.
And like let's like have a great time. So everything I try to write is something fun. And so it was a little bit of I had to think differently to write that particular song because it's about girl vampires in high school learning to drink blood responsibly. That's like the whole part of the school bike series. So I just sit there and be like, okay, if I were gonna write a Monsters theme over, like what would it sound like? And then that's kind of what I came out with. So
nice.
But no, it's fun though. It's a fun one.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad that's the first one I found because that's what that drew me in. And then I was listening to the other stuff, but I'm like, oh, well, that's like that was like a like a side thing. That's not like the rest, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It's all good shit, dude. You have a great band. Aloha Joseph's it's an awesome band. And I'm going to put a link in the description where everybody can go visit your band camp and help support Drew and the band. And I want to thank you so much, Drew, for being patient with the schedule and, with the the technical parts.
Hey, like I said, the waves are flat, man. I can be found, so.
So what are you going to do after the interview?
What's that?
What are you going to do after the interview?
You know what? Honestly, probably what I'll do is there's a vintage store downtown I'm going to check out.